A lot of people love this idea of being a solopreneur. I think it's a terrible idea, and I think it's game over from the beginning. Let me show you what proper entrepreneurship is all about so you can build a business that works without you being in the room. You can build a business of your dreams, you can have a lifestyle business, or you may even sell a business for tens of millions of dollars one day. Let's have a look at how that might happen. Ultimately, business is a team sport. You've got to grow your business by growing your team. So I want to talk today about how businesses grow and develop by adding new members to the team. So there's firstly a distinction that I need to make between different types of team members. So there is the key person of influence. That's typically the founder. That's the voice of the business. Around that person, you've got the core team. You've got the main people who are co-creating the business. And then there's a wider group of people who might be suppliers, they might be contractors, they might be people who are staff members. Typically, these are people who are not co-creating the business. So today, when we're talking about the team, we're talking about the people who are the inner circle co-creators, the collaborators who are making this business grow. That's what we're going to be talking about. Okay, to start with, we want to just have a look at the entrepreneurial journey, and we want to acknowledge that it's a predictable journey full of predictable steps and stages. And we're just going to start with an overview of the entrepreneur journey because that's where the team is going to become relevant. Okay, so the entrepreneur journey starts out in startup mode. So in startup mode, we're coming up with ideas, we're validating concepts, we're talking to potential customers, we might launch a waiting list, we might go out and talk to some potential suppliers to see how difficult it is to actually get something built or done. All of that's in startup mode. So it's kind of pre-revenue, it's super fun, it's super exciting. It's one of the most fun parts of business because you don't have actual customers to look after and you don't have actual stresses or problems. It's a very highly creative part of the business. So startup mode is fun. Normally we're talking about a founder and a co-founder, or perhaps it's just one founder, or maybe it's a founder and an assistant or an apprentice. So once we start the business, we find ourselves in this part here called the wilderness. The wilderness is horrible. This is where reality sets in. You start to realize how difficult it is to make sales. You start to realize just how much competition is out there. You start to feel like you've made some mistakes. You wish you had have done things differently. You might hit an immediate wall where you make sort of 5,000 to 10,000 per month, but you can't get past 10,000 a month, right? So all of that's the wilderness. And we're normally talking about 2 people typically in the wilderness. The next phase of business is the boutique phase. This is where we are 3 to 12 people. And there are 2 types of boutiques. There is the struggling boutique and the lifestyle boutique. So the struggling boutique, the clue is in the name. We're still struggling, even though we've got 3 to 12 people. We're selling time, we're stretched thin. We don't have a big brand. We don't have people coming to us. We're chasing every client. We're chasing every opportunity. It's just a difficult business to be in. Think about an agency that has several people, but they're constantly on a treadmill chasing business. The lifestyle boutique, on the other hand, this is a business that has developed intellectual property. It's developed media assets. It's got a YouTube channel. It's got a Facebook group. It's got some of those kind of social media properties. Maybe the key person of influence here in the lifestyle boutique has written a book and that's gone out to 1,000 people. Maybe they've got a WhatsApp group of potential clients and people are buzzing away in there. But essentially, they've mastered the art of generating demand. They've got plenty of people who want to sign up. In fact, they may even have a waiting list for people to sign up. They might have the ability to look after 100 clients per year and 2, 3, 4, 500 people want to become clients. So they've found themselves oversubscribed. So that's the lifestyle boutique. It's fun, freedom, and fulfillment. And typically you can run this from anywhere in the world and serve customers anywhere in the world. And it's just an absolute dream, right? A lot of people are living these. It's almost a new innovation that has been built on technology. A lot of people have got a lifestyle business now and they're living the dream, and it is absolutely a real thing. Okay, if we go past 12, about 12 to 30 people, we find ourselves in the desert. And the desert is where we're too big to be small and too small to be big. We're not a big business, we're not a small business. This is where things start breaking down. 12 people, you can self-manage, everything just kind of works, everything's sort of organizing itself. 13, 14, 15, 16, it gets really hard. People break off into sub-teams. We have a sales team who are not talking to the delivery team. We've got a tech team who aren't communicating with the marketing team, right? So all of these things start to break down. We also get weird things like we have some people are dating now inside the company, all this kind of stuff. It's always somebody's birthday. It's always somebody who's having a baby. All these kind of things start happening. We don't have systems and processes to deal with it. And it feels like, oh, this business is too big. It's crushing. I want to go back to the good old days where it was just 3 to 12 people and we're having so much fun. So that's the desert, too big to be small, too small to be big. But if you can make it past the desert, 30 plus, you can find yourself in a performance business or a factory. So a factory is struggle, lots and lots of people, but very low margins. But a performance business is a business that has intellectual property, media, data, and software assets, and they're all working really, really well. This business is typically 30 to 150 people. It's a 7 or an 8-figure profit. This business is probably worth more than $10 million if you were to sell it, maybe as much as $100 million if you were to sell it. This is a business that can attract private equity backing. You can get investment, you can get loans. People are talking about you as an award-winning business. You're really making a splash at this point. You're really performing, and the business has got standalone value. The key person of influence can do a little bit to represent the business, but the business has a life of its own. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the teams and how they're structured at each stage along this journey. Okay, our first team, we call this a scout team. A scout team, or co-founders. We've got 2 people, and we're answering 2 primary questions. And the 2 primary questions are, can we sell it? Can we build it? So the first person, perhaps the key person of influence, this person's job is to figure out, can we get people onto a waiting list? Can we find out how much people are going to spend? Can we validate the market? Can we validate some of the sales and marketing strategies? Can we present people with different offers and see which ones they respond to? And then this person here who's figuring out, can we build it? They're asking the question, well, this person said we're going to have software. How much would it cost to create that software or license that software? And this person said we're going to have an annual retreat. Oh my goodness, where are we going to do the annual retreat, and how much will it cost, and how are we going to put that on? This person here who's out there selling said, of course we can take on a large corporate client with lots of moving parts. This person's thinking, how many people are we going to need to deliver that contract? What would that look like? So we've got someone whose main focus is just getting out there and making sales and getting early stage sales commitments and early stage validation. And this person's figuring out what would it take to actually deliver on those promises. So that's our startup team. So the startup team can get the business going. They can get the first clients on board, but pretty quickly, if they don't grow their team, they're going to end up in the wilderness, and they could get stuck in the wilderness for years. So what I've always done is immediately gotten to the next stage, which I call the fire starters. The fire starters are the people who are really going to get this business going. Are they going to work together as a team to get this business off the ground, to make those first sales, to get those first sales rhythms running, to really figure out if they can deliver amazing excellence to the clients, get those first case studies and capture it on video. So all of that is going to be the fire starting team. So here's the 4 people we need on the fire start team. The key person of influence. This person represents the business. They're going to be the person on camera like I'm doing now. They're going to perhaps write some documents, or maybe even write a book, or they're going to get out on a stage and start talking about the products. They're going to demo the products or services. They're going to get themselves onto a podcast. All of those things to generate some attention for the business, to be the representative and the face of the business, because people love to see a business that has a key person of influence who's evangelizing it. So that's our key person of influence. And the 3 roles that go with the key person of influence is the salesperson, who's going to take a bit of that attention and that buzz and turn it into our first sales. Our ops person, who's going to look after the clients and make sure people are happy. This person's also going to capture case studies and testimonials and referrals, right? Make sure all of that's happening. And then this person here is a bit of the glue. We call this person the SAK, the Swiss Army knife. Swiss Army knife can do a little bit of everything. This is someone who can handle a bit of admin. They can do a bit of sales support. They can do a bit of ops support. They can help the KPI. You might call this an executive assistant. You might call it a general manager. You might call it an admin assistant. I like to call it the Swiss Army knife in the team. It's the person who's the generalist who's helping everyone else to perform. Now, in this particular team, we want to keep lean and nimble and light. We don't want to overinvest in any particular systems or processes. We totally are happy to use Excel spreadsheets or even cardboard boxes with bits of paper in them. Whatever it is, however it is that keeps you moving fast, we do not want to slow down. We're trying to get a fire started here. That's the whole purpose of this team, to get this thing off the ground, get it buzzing. Alrighty, our next team is the core team. This is a very stable unit. In fact, the building blocks of the Army and the Navy and the Air Force is a core unit of about 8 people that they call a section or a squadron, and it's the same in entrepreneurship. It's typically about an 8-person team, although it can be slightly smaller or slightly bigger, could be 6 to 12 people, but you're gonna have a core team, and here are the key roles. We've got our key person of influence, the evangelist, the face of the business. We've got the general manager, person who everyone reports to and who's making sure that everything runs smoothly in the whole business. We've got the head of marketing. This could be someone who's very good with media, could be someone who can run ads. Maybe this is someone who's good at content, right? So they're really amplifying the audiences that you can get in front of. Then we've got a salesperson or a head of sales who's turning all of that attention into customers. Over here, we've got our head of operations. This person lives and dies by the metric of net promoter score. They want customers to be happy. They want people to be delighted. They want to figure out what got said by the salespeople and can we over deliver so that everyone walks away feeling delighted. And then we've got IT. This is someone who is trying to automate as much of this as possible. They're trying to make sure that the value getting delivered is as automated as possible. In the middle, we've got a Swiss Army knife or an administrator, might be a financial controller, but essentially those are our roles. This is about leadership. This is about manufacturing desire, manufacturing demand, creating customers. And this is about manufacturing delight, making sure customers are happy. And this is making sure that it's all glued together and things are just happening in the background. So this is our core team. Typically, this is the most stable unit. I often see today core teams doing between $1 and $4 million with between $300,000 and $1.2 million of profit. Very common to see in today's environment, and that is the lifestyle boutique. Most people that you think are key people of influence who are doing it all on their own and they look like they're superheroes, they've actually got this kind of a team behind them. So for example, Ali Abdaal, who you've seen build a massive YouTube channel and super successful, he's got a team of about 10 people behind him with all of those roles in play. I could give you many other examples. Mr. Who's the Boss, super successful YouTube channel, 10 people behind the scenes who are making it all work. Many of our clients, 5,500 different clients, one of the first things we're trying to do is position them as a key person of influence, get their products and service ecosystem in place, and get that core team in place so they can easily make 7 figures of revenue and at least 6 figures of profit. And that's what we have here, which is that core team. Now, can you do it with less people? You can, but is it stable? Maybe not, right? So I see a lot of people who try and do everything themselves. They burn out, they miss opportunities, they miss out on a massive speaking engagement because they were too busy picking up the phone themselves, making some sales. They miss out on a massive podcast opportunity because they were working with their clients, right? They just don't have enough people on the team to sustain the momentum that's going on. So we really want to invest in this core team, knowing that it's a little bit of an expense, or it's quite an expense to begin with, but actually it creates the stability long-term to have a great profitable business year in, year out. Okay, so now we're going to jump the desert and we're going to have a performance team. And what is it going to look like on the other side of the desert? What does it look like when you're a performance business? Well, we've got our executive team now. These are the people who are leading the business day to day. CEO is probably also a key person of influence, but they've got their CMO, their marketing officer, their operations officer, their financial officer, their technology officer. Maybe they've got one other role on the team, something else that is relevant for that business. They probably have an advisor or a non-executive director, and they probably have a executive team, executive assistant who helps with things like HR and finding suppliers and documenting things and coordinating board meetings and making sure everyone's in the right place at the right time. So that's our leadership team. And then we typically have 3 teams of teams. And there are a couple of ways to structure this. You could have products. So each team could represent a product that you've got. And within that team, you could actually have the people who are selling that product. You could have people who are building that product. So those are called product teams. You could have territory teams. So those territories could be Germany, UK, USA, right? If you want to do it that way. You could have functions. So you could have sales and marketing, operations, admin, right? So different functions. So you've got products, territories, functions, and you could have markets. So you could potentially have small business, government, corporate, enterprise, right? So you could do it that way. Let me share with you what I like to do best. Okay, so what works best for me is a little bit of a layout like this. We have a sales and marketing team. So the marketing team, they're going to be doing things like search engine optimization. They're going to be running ads. They're going to be creating content. They're going to be amplifying all of that in various different channels. So that's the job of the marketing team. They're creating opportunities. They're getting our ideas in front of the right people. The sales team are making sure that that converts into customers. So they're following up and talking to people. They're reaching out. They're following up on anyone who inquires. All of that's happening in the sales and marketing team. Over here, I've got 2 types of data that I want to be up to date: financial data and performance data. So the financial data is all things relating into the money. It's the P&L, it's the balance sheet, it's the management accounts, it's the financial forecasts. All of that is financial data. And performance data is the data that tells us how the business is performing. So it tells us how many leads, appointments, presentations, and sales are flowing through the business. It might tell us how many happy customers we've got. It keeps all the main performance dashboards up to date. Then over here, we've got development. So this is developing the product and making sure that the product is running really well. So in a tech company, you've got product management and product development, and then customer success. You've got people who are making sure that the customers are using the product in the right way, and that if they get stuck, someone can help them. And that these people here, the customer success people, are making sure that their product is usable by the customer, and they're giving feedback back to the development team on how to improve the product as well. So let's imagine that we've got something like 10 people over here and 10 people, well, not 10 people there, maybe 10 people here, maybe 6 people here, right? So now we've got something like 26 people here, plus we've got our executive team, our executive assistant, our non-executive director or our advisor. Roughly speaking, we've got our team of 30, and we are through the desert, and we're a performance business at this phase. If you go to a private equity shop, or if you go to a VC, or if you go to some investors or lenders, and you've got that kind of a structure and it's all working really well, they're going to look at you and say you're a proper business at this point. If any one particular person leaves, it's going to be disappointing. It's going to be a little bit difficult for a week or two, but you're going to be able to replace them. There's enough people on the team that everything's going to be able to be recoverable. With a smaller business, if you lose a key member of the team, it can be devastating. It can set you back weeks, months, or even a quarter while you find a replacement for that person. But once you get to 30 plus people, you've actually got a good amount of stability here. That's why this kind of business becomes saleable. In many cases, you'll probably have 8 figures of revenue and 7 figures of profit when you get to this stage. And the good news is you can probably sell the business for a life-changing amount of money. A lot of businesses that are this size, they end up selling for 10 to 50 million, or sometimes even more. So there we have it. There's our entrepreneurial journey, where we go from a couple of co-founders into a small little fire starter team, into a core team, into a performance team, and we can scale up nice and fast. If you know that that's what's coming, you can plan for it, you can prepare for it, you can be excited about it. I hope that helps you with your entrepreneurial journey. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give this channel a subscribe, give this video a like, and leave me a comment. I read absolutely every comment. I absolutely love that. So I look forward to seeing your comment down below. All the best.